Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather, here with my co host Preston Chandler. Together we lead Centered, a firm that helps organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest sits at the intersection of cutting edge AI and deeply human leadership. Stephanie Sylvestre is a technologist, entrepreneur, and founder of an AI company using digital twins to preserve Black history and expand access to mentorship. From breaking barriers in corporate America to building AI solutions rooted in social impact, Stephanie brings a rare perspective to the future of work and technology. What sets her apart isn't just her technical expertise, it's her unwavering belief that in the age of AI, the most powerful force remains the human mind. Stephanie helps leaders and organizations navigate massive technological shifts while strengthening the skills that make us human: resilience, creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. Stephanie, I think AI is such a hot topic these days. We hear about it a lot.
Agreed.
I think we can take a little bit of a different perspective here. So, welcome to the show. I'm excited.
Thank you for having me, and I totally agree with you. I like to talk about AI without talking about AI because
Yeah.
people think that it's all technology, but it's not. It's actually all people.
Oh, I love that perspective. And,
Agreed.
and I love your experience because a lot of the times what it looks like is you've kind of been ahead of the curve with your career. So maybe a great place to start. How do you decide when to lean in to an emerging technology? Not that AI is completely just emerging at this point, but when do you lean into that emerging technology versus when do you slow down and question its impact?
I start with just sometimes it's just happenstance. So when I first got into technology, I was not that was not on my roadmap. I have a master's in economic development and Latin American studies. I'm originally from Belize, and my plan was to go back to Belize and work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and help develop Belize. But I needed a job because the party that my dad was aligned to wasn't in government, and so
Mhm.
the government wasn't going to hire me. So I needed a job in Miami, and I got an internship at Hewlett Packard. And one of the original guys that wrote the Unix code, and if you know anything about software, I'll tell you that the world runs on Unix, even
Yeah,
though we never hear about it. And the reason why we never hear about it is because it never breaks.
right.
And so this guy was one of the original Unix coders, and he was responsible for maintaining the Unix code. So he had really nothing to do all day. I was an intern. I'd walk the floors, and he gave me a master class in computers, how it
Mm,
works. He broke it down. I mean, it was just like amazing. And at 24, 25, you're really not understanding the world quite well. And you're
no.
not understanding the impact of what that is. And I I'm bummed that I cannot remember what his name is. But
Mm,
whoever you are, if you're listening to this, I really appreciate that because that created a foundation for my career in IT. And then I went on to become a boutique consultant. And as a consultant, what I would do is I would get exposed to different work environments, different technology. And what I was realizing is that technology that's high friction has a really hard time being adopted. So I developed a methodology that sometimes I just do innately, and and I would say, "Oh, no, that's not going to work because of this, this, and this," and people will get really mad with me and say, "How do you know? You haven't even used it." I was like, "I don't need to use the product to know that it's too much friction."
yeah.
And when I'm training junior people, I say, if your thing requires more than 2 clicks to get to it, it's not going to work. It needs to have 2 clicks or less. Um, I even had a design. I won CIO of the year because I designed a strategy at my last company where we said 6 URLs or less to do your job. Very simple, very easy for people to understand. Do you have to go to Do you go to 6 websites? If you have to go to more than 6 websites, I have not done my job. We consolidated. The average person had to do 4 websites.
Oof.
That's
I'm counting the websites I have to go to these days, and I do think it's more than 6, so maybe I haven't done
e
my
Oh,
job.
by far, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And that kinda, like, led me through as I evolved, and it's like, "What do you wanna do?" You know, when the internet came out, there were a bunch of people that wanted to hire me. And I said, I don't understand how you're going to make money. I don't understand your business model. I'm an economist by training. So if I don't understand how you're going to make money, I don't want to be a part of it. And so again, right, that really helped me. Um, I never got on the social media bandwagon until LinkedIn and my company. So now I do that, but I understand how to use it. And I said, what are you gonna do on social media? Like, I'm gonna share what's happening in my day-to-day life with people that aren't that important to me, because if they were, they would be in my address book and I would text and email them.
Yeah,
I don't see why the point is. Um, and then the when I decided to get into AI, it was a very interesting thing, right? Because that was around the time where I was like, it was 2015, and I was like, I need to revamp my career, right? If you're a technologist, you constantly have to reinvent yourself or you're going to become redundant.
right.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes I will hear people say, "I can't believe I worked there for 30 years and then you just fired me." I was just like, "Well, what?"
Well,
Okay. Um, and so I've always been that, like, command of my career. And I was doing an evaluation about VR, AR, and AI. And VR makes me sick. So I was like, clearly I can't go into that. That makes me nauseous. How am I gonna test it? How am I gonna see the
right.
impact of what I'm doing? Um, AR was kind of cool, but I was just like, too much friction.
Yeah,
It requires expensive material, expensive hardware. Nobody is going to go with that.
right.
It can't scale and deploy. And then I said AI, and I was like, well, AI runs all of these things anyway. So if I'm wrong, I'll still be covered.
Yeah.
And so I started trying to build a digital twin since 2016, and from 2016 to 2021, people basically laughed at me, like, literally would laugh at me and say, "That's ridiculous. It can't be done. That doesn't make any sense. Can't happen."
Well, maybe
And
tell us a little bit about what do you when you say digital twin, what exactly do you mean then? Maybe
Yep,
I don't
yep.
it
understand.
it so my digital twin is being able to take Preston's personality and digitize it so that anybody can talk to digital Preston and it feels like it's talking to actual human Preston. They know that it's not human Preston because we're making sure that we don't make it so that it exactly, but it's close enough.
Right.
So Preston would explain the facts the way human Preston would. Preston would give me coaching and points of view the way human Preston would. Um, and then we can add audio, and when it talks, when it speaks, it would sound like human Preston is speaking.
Okay.
So that's what we wanted to build, and everybody thought I was absolutely insane. And I said, "No, I'm not insane. If I can think about it, it can be done." And
Yep.
even my developer, it took me 2 years to convince him, and I'm probably one of the few people in the world that was happy for COVID, because COVID made my developer sit home and he was, like, so bored. He was like, "Let me see what this thing that Stephanie keeps talking about that makes no sense."
Ah, that's awesome.
And then he calls me up and he's like, "Stephanie, I figured out what you're talking about, and here's the prototype." And so our first prototype was
Nice.
uh, on Martin Luther King Day in 2021. I just thought.
Nice.
And then we've evolved since then. And so I'll tell you one more thing, and then I'll stop speaking. So when I thought about this, and I was like, okay, digital twins are cool, but what if you could be your own mentor?
Mm.
What if
Mm.
we could create a personality chip? And so then I thought to myself, what if the human body is the machine? Right? So when you think about all these humanoids that they're building and making, are you really going to walk around with a 150-pound machine? No, you're not. Can you? I mean, some people can't even carry 150 pounds. What are you going to do? Like, what happens when the machine runs out of battery because you forgot to charge it? And now you have to get it back home. What are you going to?
Yeah.
And I
No,
thought,
that's that friction.
That's lots of friction. And
Yeah.
then what happens when you're in the desert and the sand gets into the machine and the machine just goes sideways?
Yeah. Right,
So,
right.
but the human body is resilient to any environment. And what if you put a chip in the human, and now that chip amplifies you? When you start having self doubt, when you have negative thoughts, the chip the AI on the chip wakes up and says, "Preston, you good?"
Mm.
And just that instant redirect causes Preston to become aware of how he's being in that moment. Then Preston can decide if he wants to be that way, because sometimes you just want to lean into how you're feeling, or he could be like, "Oh, I don't realize that." And then because the AI is run on Preston's personality, would help Preston get back to equilibrium. Because when we're at
Yeah.
equilibrium, where we're best.
Well, it's
So
interesting, like,
Interesting.
listening to you talk, like, so much comes up. Like, I wonder if someday we'll look back on this and you'll be the creator of everything that came true in, the show Altered Carbon, which if you've never seen it, go watch it, it's fantastic. Uh, but the other thing, I love the idea of having something that's a little bit more personal. And like you talk about it being impossible. I think back, people looked at Star Trek and was like, "Oh, that's so it'll never happen." Well, I have a tricorder on my wrist at this point, right? So I've kind of given up on saying technology isn't going to do
it-
something
it-
because I think it
oh,
eventually will.
we have the ability to do that right now.
Yeah. Right.
There are. I can create a digital twin in
Right.
5 hours. Um, there's implantable chips that
Yeah.
exist. Um, there are implantable chips that do biometrics
Yeah.
and brave wave, brave brainwave reading.
Yeah.
All I need to do is be able to put them together, integrate them.
Right.
And one of the things that I learned very early on that I was really good at was helping to integrate solutions. So when you talk about that 6 URL or less to do your job, when I got to that company, there were 17 different pieces of software. When I left, there
Yeah.
were six.
Well,
16.
it's so interesting to me because I think it's like the iPhone, right? The iPhone didn't invent any new technology. It just put them
It
together
just
in a way that
combines.
people
Yeah.
loved, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
It,
and sorry, in my head, I'm looking at the time at this point. I'm like, man, where do we go from here? Because we don't have a lot of time left, and there's so much we could cover. So maybe I want to say quick, but it doesn't have to be super quick. I want to hear a little bit more about how you've used AI to preserve Black history and expanding mentorship. I'd love to hear more about that and what it's taught you about the responsibility technologists carry for their companies, like beyond profit.
Yeah.
well, so most people think that, like, when you look at the headlines, it sounds like everybody's all about the money. But most people just want to live, be able to afford, be able to hang with their friends and their family. And, it's one of the reasons why I like coming back to North Carolina, because it reminds you that family is important. It reminds you about sitting down at the restaurant and having a meal, and then spending another
Yeah,
20 minutes, 30 minutes talking, and nobody trying to turn the table or try to, like, "Oh, I gotta go because I got something else to do," because there's not a lot to do. There's just enough to do
yeah,
that you're engage and entertain, but not overwhelm. And so when you think about that, right? We are not teaching history in school, and that's a disservice because if you don't understand history, then you can't go back in time and bring forward the key pieces to be able to shape the future. And by preserving Black legacy through digital twins, what we do is we preserve the tradition of oral history. So Black history, all history, but Black history in particular, are passed down from generation to generation orally. And as we become more consumed with our lives and lives become fast paced, everybody, not just Black history, are losing that tradition of oral history. And so this is a way for somebody to be able to unpack how they impacted the world, right? So I'm never going to make it into the history book, but I think that I did something great when I built 7 homes in Liberty City with Habitat volunteers. I convinced 2,100 women to brave the Miami heat for 3.5 years, and we built 7 homes. So that's 2 homes a year we were building. We're not going to be in the book, but imagine if I was to tell that as part of my history.
Mm.
And now
Wonderful.
somebody wants to learn about it. And so I think that that's an important thing. And I'm super excited about this project because we are launching the metaverse where these digital twins will live on March 11th.
Ooh, wow.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh. So March 11th, if you're listening now, head out to the metaverse, find a digital twin, have a conversation. I love the concept. It reminds me of this. I can't remember where it was. It was like Denmark or something like that, where they had a library. It was a human library where you could go in and check out like a Buddhist monk to have
Person.
a
Yeah.
conversation.
You should go and talk to a different person and figure out their life history. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So imagine being able to do that and sit and deep dive into it. And so, if you write a biography, you have to pick and choose what you think the audience wants. Now you can say every minutiae detail, and that you, as a person's talking to a digital twin, can decide what happens.
Yeah, I just want a summary here. I want the full detail here. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
exactly, exactly. And,
Well,
and
Stephanie, I think that we're actually hitting the end of our time, but I think the last thing that would be good to know is if people want to connect with you, if they would like to learn more about what you're doing, they'd like to learn more about the digital twins on Meta, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and connect with you?
best way to reach out is Stephanie Sylvestre, TRE, AvatarBuddy on LinkedIn, or you can go to AvatarBuddy.ai, and we have information on our website.
That's wonderful. Stephanie, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been a wonderful conversation. It's been great to have you on. For everybody else who has joined us until the end of this, as you're leaving the 5-star review, which of course you'll leave at the bottom, we would love to hear a little bit more from you. One of the things that JL and I love the most is seeing comments and hearing about how people have applied what they're learning in these episodes. So please leave a comment and tell us how things are going. And also, if you know of anybody who would benefit from this episode, from learning more from Stephanie, please share this with them and help them also hear some of the insights from Stephanie. Again, Stephanie, thank you for joining us. And to everybody else, we will see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.